And we're looking at 650, 750 maybe, and $1 million in 5 acres, and you only pay 369. Why did you tell me?
Couldn't get a word in there.
Okay.
Need to be closer. Good. All right, I call to order the Millersville Board of Commissioners regular meeting Tuesday, May 15, 2018 at 5:32 p.m. Everyone will please stand. Okay, so you pledge.
Let's pray together. Father, may we never, ever, ever take for granted these kinds of meetings that we get to enjoy across this country. Freedom where we can meet, deliberate, discuss, have citizens involved, and get things done for the good of everybody. The freedoms we have, Lord, are not just for free. Somebody paid for them, and they come from you. We thank you for that. Bless these fellows and gals tonight here at the City Council, and bless us together in this wonderful city. And thank you, Lord, for the beautiful weather we're having this spring. It's so pretty. We thank you, and may we never take any of these blessings for granted. They all come from your gracious hand. We thank you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 is a public hearing on ordinance 18-693, rezone 2044 Wilson Lane, Robertson County, map 125, parcel 226.00 from residential R1 and commercial C3 to residential R5 and commercial C3. I'll now open the public hearing if anyone wishes to comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Item number 4, approval of minutes from the April 17, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from April 17, 2018 regular commission meeting.
I'll second it. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 5, approval of the April 2018 financial report. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the April 2018 financial report.
Second it. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 6, presentation of the 2016-17 annual financial report by Karen Stevens from Blankenship CPA Group.
Thank you for letting me be with you tonight. I'll go through the financial statements and stop me at any time with any question. I'll hit the high points and point out a few key things. If there's anything that I don't touch on or that you want to know about, please feel free to ask. As we work through the financial report, I've got some information just on days that we served and what roles during the year. And then you get to the independent auditor's report. And the opinion is down on the very bottom of that first page. And this is an unqualified opinion, which means it's the best opinion you can receive. It means that all your financial statements are materially and fairly presented. So that's something to be proud of. I will say this right up front, the financial statements that we receive to start the audit process are always in very good shape. So the financial statements that you're receiving on a monthly basis, Holly does a great job with those, and you're making decisions on records that are very similar to these audited statements. So we make several adjustments every year, really at Holly's request for things that have to be presented one way in this set of financial statements, but that you govern in a different way. And all those records come from their office, so they do a very good job, and we appreciate them in that respect. And then beginning on page 4, really 4 through 8, I think it is advanced discussion and analysis. This language reads similarly every year, but it does a good job of kind of describing what the story of the city was for the year that's being presented. There's some really good information in here about the various funds and a couple things that I'll point out along the way for this fiscal year that we're talking about. And then beginning on page 10, pages 8 and 9. I think I said this before in front of the governing body, but these are the financial statements on full accrual accounting, trying to make them comparable to for-profit entities in some way. So you come to a net position of the city, which is $13 million, and that's an increase of about $500,000 over the previous year. But keep in mind, this is all property recorded on the books and depreciated, all debt shown as a liability, just like a business enterprise would be. So these are not how you govern day to day, but required presentation for financial statements. Beginning on page 10, this is the set of financial statements that would mirror the financials that you receive monthly and that you govern from. So we've got these listed here by the major funds, which last year, that calculation changes every year, so it depends on the calculation of what shows up in the front and what shows up in the back of this set of financial statements. But for last year, the general fund and the solid waste fund were both major. So you have those presented here. And then all of the non-major funds are presented back on pages, beginning on page 34. So you get the details of the other funds, which would be State Street Aid, Drug Fund, and Stormwater for last year, back on the back. So the total fund balance of the general fund, I always like to point that out for you all, was unassigned $2.1 million at the end of last year. On page 11, you have your revenues and expenditures by fund. It's in a summary form, and if you really want to drill down into the detail, you can get to page 13. And if you're like me, I gotta get my trifocals in the right spot so I can read page 13, but it gives you a good presentation in a lot of detail of each of the revenues and expenditures by function of the city. So a couple of things I'll point out. The general fund, the net change in the fund balance on page 11 of the general fund was almost $700,000 net positive last year. $400,000 of that was where you all had borrowed money to buy the fire truck, and the fire truck crossed fiscal years. You borrowed money but you hadn't paid for the fire truck yet. So that $700,000, $400,000 of that was sitting there to be spent on the fire truck. And then the rest of it, the savings was really in an increase in sales tax and in the fines collected by the police department. And the savings and expenditures was mostly in public safety. You had some turnover of that position, it was vacant for a while, and so you had some significant savings there. All of that kind of contributing to that increase in the general fund. And then on page 13, you can see also the detail of the solid waste fund. Not a whole lot of change in solid waste last year. I'm going to skip a few pages and then we'll come back. That detail that's in the back, starting on page 34, yes, it is. 4. Then here you see State Street Aid, Drug Fund, and Stormwater. And I just wanted to point out on page 35 that State Street Aid, last year you were accumulating some revenues in there that you didn't spend all that on paving in the prior year. Usually you all will kind of build that up for a few years and then spend on some paving. So last year you did add to the fund balance of the State Street Aid about $125,000, some of which may have already been spent in the current year. And then the Drug Fund and the Stormwater fairly break even last year. Okay. Jumping back to page 14, I'll just ask, does anyone have a question on this new code so far? Page 14, 15, and 16 are talking about the sewer fund. And this fund is presented in a different way because it's required to be self-sufficient, if you will. Revenues are supposed to cover all of the operating costs to keep this fund going without having to be supplemented by any other fund. And if you look on page 15, it was a tight year in 2017. 2018 continues to be a tight year. You had a net loss from operations of almost $20,000. That's before any interest revenue or gains on any sales of equipment that you had, or any contributions by any developers. So the total net loss only ended up being $10,000 at the end of the day, but $20,000 from operations. This is the first year of a loss position in several years, and so I just wanted to remind you all that if you have consistent losses for more than 2 years, that's where the wastewater treatment board would typically send you a letter and want you to possibly come before them. So I just wanted to remind you all that this is the first year of that, and then 18 could potentially be the second year of net loss that might trigger some action in that period.
Okay, and this is what we'll be talking about in 2025. Okay.
Any questions on that? They look at several things, not just the net loss, but they look at cash flow and if you have debt, if you're able to cover your debt service. They look at several different factors, but the net income or net loss from operation is one of those factors. So they want to see if you're charging enough in user fees to cover the cost of operations, plus depreciation, plus debt service, plus any other below the line items. So. And Holly and I talked about this several times just to kind of make this point that the majority of your expenses, as you know, in this fund are really being paid to third-party service providers. You know, you're having to pay for your water treatment to a third party. So a lot of these costs are dependent upon what the rates the third parties are charging you for based on. And then, of course, depreciation is a really large number. You're depreciating your assets over the longest life that you really can depreciate them. I think some of those are up to, I know some of them are up to almost 50 years. So, you know, we're trying to depreciate that over a very, very long life to keep that depreciation expense at a reasonable, but at the minimum amount that you can be reporting. And then beginning on page 17, you've got the notes to the financial statements. A lot of really good information in here about how the city's accounting for different things, what the definitions of the various funds are, and what's included in those funds. And just a couple things I'll point out. The capital assets are summarized on page 25. So your big additions last year were mostly vehicles in the police department. That was the big thing. And then, of course, this year, the fire truck. And then on the sewer side of things, you did have some other equipment purchases as well. So. Pension plan is in really good shape. You guys have always done your funding on that, and so you're well funded on your pension plan. And then note 7 talks about the different note obligations of the city. But those are also summarized, I think, in a little bit easier to read format on page 38.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
Okay, so we're at note 7, or you said page 38?
Note 7 is the long-term debt footnote.
Okay.
And a companion schedule that goes along with that is on page 38.
Okay.
Yes, 38. So I think I mentioned this last year, but the city really does not have very much debt outstanding relative to your assets. You've got the community center note, which will be paid off in 2022. You've got some small police vehicles that were purchased that will be paid off in 2019, and then the new fire engine loan. So really, in a couple of years, as it stands right now, you would only have really just the new fire engine loan would be the only piece of debt. Very positive thing.
Okay, and just to note, when we're looking at expanding for City Hall, and you were talking about at some point that would replace this, the community center payment.
Yeah, so right now, the community center debt service is, sorry, I flipped away from that page. The community center is, the debt service on that for 2018 would be right at 150,000, and 2019 right at 140-some-odd thousand. So it's reducing every year, obviously, as you're paying down the principal balance, but you've been historically making, 150 plus per year on the community center. And then I left off at note 7, so I'll kind of pick back up there. The rest of the notes, again, just good information. I don't want to take up your time reading it all to you, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And then from there on, really until we get to the very end of the last report, are just some more summary schedules that the comptroller's office wants to see. Page 32 is more about your pension plan, 33 is more about your pension plan, all information that the comptroller requires. And then when you get to page 34, we've already talked about this. These are those combining statements for those non-major funds. And then page 37 talks about your what grants you might have received. And during this fiscal year, really the only grant activity that we've had was participating in the LISA program, which is the excess federal property that gets surplus through the tax state of Tennessee. You all are taking advantage of that program. So that's listed there, $170,000. That's the value of the property that you received from that program, not cash dollars.
That's the homeowners, these, on the, surplus.
Yeah, so the federal government produces a value, which is, in my opinion, a very inflated value, and then the state has a suggested value that they want the cities to use to value that based off of that federal number. They suggest you use 1/3 of the federal number, so that's what we follow that guidance and suggesting to management that do that. Okay, then we talked about page 38. Page 39 and 40 are just some summaries about your property taxes. Again, you all do an excellent job in collecting your property taxes every year. You can see by tax year there, just a minimum amount that does not get collected. And then the first line there would be your anticipated levy that would lien to be attached to property on January 1st, but the bills don't go out until October, and they don't get collected until the following February. So it crosses potentially two or more fiscal years. And then on page 40, you see there that your property tax rate, you guys did have a reassessment, and rates did go up effective for this fiscal year that you're in now. 41, again, required by the comptroller. They want to see what your rate structure is on the sewer funds. We've got that listed there. And then the last section is internal control and compliance. We did 2 audits in one. We audited the financial statements, and then we have to make sure that they're in accordance with all the government standards. And this would be where we would comment on anything that was not in accordance. And I'm very happy to report that there were no findings. So we had a finding in the previous year, it got corrected, no findings in this fiscal year. So good job and good news there. It's a lot of pages in just a few minutes. So are there any questions I can answer? I'm always available to answer a question after the fact.
And that's awesome for our city to, not have any outstanding issues with Holly. Everyone that handles this, all the city employees, I do want to say thank you because that's an outstanding job to do that.
You guys have made an investment in an adequate number of people for staffing, in the way the duties are segregated and how they divide their duties. You've got your staff. From our being.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you all. As always, thank you for your business, and we just enjoy working with you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, item number 7, acceptance of the 2016-17 annual financial report. Call for motion.
Make a motion that we accept the 2016-2017 annual financial report.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 8, second reading of ordinance 18-693, rezone 2044 Wilson Lane, Robertson County map 125, parcel 226.00 from residential R1 and commercial C3 to residential R5 and commercial C3. Call for motion.
Move that we approve on second reading ordinance 18-693, zoning of 2044 Wilson Lane, Robertson County.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, this will be a vote, this will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Bailey? Aye. I vote aye. Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Norris? Aye. Motion carries unanimous 4-0. Commissioner Gregory absent. Item number 9, first reading of ordinance 18-694, provide for the election of 2 city commissioners on November 6, 2018. Call for motion.
Move that we approve on first reading ordinance 18-694, to provide for the election of 2 city commissioners on November 6, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 10, first reading of ordinance 18-695, in the 2017-18 fiscal year budget, ordinance 17-674, to provide for the purchase of equipment in the fire department and adjust the debt service related to the fire engine loan. Call for motion.
Move that we approve on first reading ordinance 18-695, which amends the 2017-18 fiscal year budget ordinance 17-674, to provide for the purchase of equipment in the fire department and adjust the debt service related to that fire engine loan.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Sorry.
Cool.
No, you go ahead.
I just want clarification. Is that what we discussed?
Yes.
In the work session, what we were talking about?
Okay, if you don't mind, I'd like for everybody to know what we're doing on that. If you don't mind explaining.
Right, we had originally budgeted to make the first payment on the fire engine loan in this fiscal year, but we didn't close in time, and the truck had to be ordered, so actually the first principal payment is not due until July. So the money was already budgeted, and in my discussion with Brandon, he had mentioned he needs to replace one of his trucks that Mark Floyd drives. It's a 2004, it has 115,000 miles on it. And for emergencies, it's not reliable to continue to respond. So the money was already in the budget, but it was allocated for debt. But we had talked about possibly just reallocating from debt to equipment on this fiscal year's budget to allow him to go ahead and purchase the truck. And he's got some bids, some prices from state contract. And
I'll come up here if you want me to.
And that'd be great.
Sorry, just got back from the Rex. I figured you want to talk about it. So I contacted Ford Murfreesboro, who has the state contract for government vehicles. And I've got 2 different quotes just for the truck. So basically, we're looking at an F-250 four-wheel drive, basically identical to mine. We set up the same way, outfitted. And state contract pricing is $29,633, and that's just for the truck itself. That's a brand new four-wheel drive pickup truck, gasoline. The MSRP on it is about $43,000. If you want to run by it, so you can see we're saving quite a bit of money for state contract pricing. Mark's truck is an 04 GMC 1500, so it's half the truck this one is. It's just a new model for 150 plus. It's on its second engine. Transmission room, your normal clanking, it's an 8-foot bed, so it's got a lot of weight, very little, I think it's a 4.8 piece in a bed, so it's a small bed. And it's just, its life as an emergency vehicle, it's not safe. If you go by NFPA 1901, which is the vehicle standards for emergency vehicle, it should have been retired many years ago. It'd still be a good truck for running around here or even Bethany at parks and rent. She doesn't have any kind of vehicle to haul supplies. It's got a bed cover on it. So I think it still would serve the city some purpose. But as far as running emergency traffic up and down the road and the long idle hours that we get, extended scenes, it's stated as an emergency vehicle.
So is Bethany glad that this the other truck?
She's grateful for whatever she gets. I ran it by her,
Okay.
asked her if she wanted it, and she's like, if they'll let me have it, I'll take it. So of course, we're gonna try to use, if we can get the new truck, we're gonna try to utilize some of the newer equipment that's been put on it, the light bar, the slide out tray, the bed, just try to cut down on some costs. That's $2,000 or $3,000 savings right there. Put some newer equipment in it that's vehicle specific. It's kind of hard to piece, kind of hard to take stuff from a Crown Vic and throw it in a new Ford pickup truck that's 20 years new. It just, stuff doesn't go out, so. The truck itself, we're looking anywhere from 29 to 31. Ford and Murfreesboro has a few on the lot that they can let us have at state contract pricing, but there is a few upgrades. But the overall price is $31,777 for the truck itself. Then you're looking at an additional $675 for the graphics on the outside, and then roughly $10,000 to outfit. From bed cover to emergency lighting, the radios, the antennas, the console, the push bumper, the winch, everything that needs to be ready to roll.
We have it by the end of this fiscal year.
If we decided to get one off the lot, if not, we would have to order through Ford. And PD just went through it, so I'm not sure what the turnaround time was. Let's start around on a new order.
It's about 8 weeks,
About
roughly.
But
So-
if we issue the PO, if you ordered it, and we issue a PO, it would still fall off in this fiscal year.
And so, and we have, what is that amount? Is it that 34,000 or where are we on that? The amount budgeted, or was it the 45 that we're seeing?
We're not budgeted for the debt services. I think it's.
Right, on this
That's what
breakdown
I'm talking
sheet
about.
is what and on the one line item, we did budget the 45,531, which is principal and interest. We're only gonna end up at year-end spending, paying the interest of $11,098. So I just took away that 34,433. On the machinery and equipment, we originally budgeted 415,000. We've only spent 407. And so there was a little bit of money there, so I just increased that by another 24,000 to bring it to 440, and that allowed us enough money to buy the truck itself.
Okay.
And then the minor equipment line item, I just increased it to equip the vehicle. Because that stuff can be removed and used again, and that's why we don't, we just don't depreciate that equipment and capitalize it like we do the truck, the vehicle itself. So that's why they're broken down that way.
So then it's not any extra out of our budget that we're saying.
No.
So,
And this is actually the one that we're amending, which is why I included this. This is actually the line items on your financial statements that you did. But this one is the one that we have to actually amend, and so that's why I highlighted how it was budgeted. So in the fire department, we budgeted $726,938. We're actually gonna be spending $761,381, but our debt service decreased from $212,471 to $178,028. So the bottom line in the general fund did not change, the fund balance is not changing. So it's just because we budgeted one for debt and one for equipment, we need to make the proper amendment to the ordinance, which is what this is doing.
okay.
More questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Fire department votes for the
Item number 11, first reading of ordinance 18-696, rezone 7541 Darby Road, Sanders County map 118, parcel 003.05, from residential R1 to R3 and R5. Call for motion.
Move that we approve on first reading ordinance 18-696, zoning 7541 Darby Road, Sumner County, from residential R1 to R3 and R5.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Michael has provided these, if y'all want to, that's the thing. No, there's two, there's an all.
That's a graphic representation of the parcel as well as the typical exhibit that I put together for the immediate vicinity or the neighborhood of other zoning. And in that case up there on that end of Darby Road, there's a real hodgepodge of density or residential districts out there. It goes everything from 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5. There's only 5 across the street, but I didn't show those for you. And this is an unusual parcel in that it's almost a hook shape. That a local developer bought up the property, removed the dilapidated single wide at the front, and has built a very attractive home. But sat down with me to see if there were options for developing the rest of the parcel. And we got out there and walked it and realized that it was viable to carve this into 2 more parcels. Each will be residential, proposed residential 3, just about 2.5 acres each. They'll share an access and utility easement to get into it, to put the sanitary sewer and the water lines through there and power, et cetera. The planning commission approved this, I believe unanimously, and for the rezoning, we're going to hold off on the planning until the rezoning's a little further along here to make sure that that this board is in agreement with what's being proposed.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Item number 12, approval of a position and job description for a building inspector / code official. Call for motion.
Move that we approve the position job description for building inspector and code official to what we have presented here.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
At the work session, would you have, the mayor have changes requested? Those have been made.
He had asked
It was
about,
one word.
removing the climbing,
Yeah, it was just one word.
and it wasn't correct.
All right, is there anything else? And then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Item number 13, directions to staff related to procedure for taking codes complaints. Call for a motion.
Well, I'm not even sure if a motion is necessary. We, after the work session, the discussion of the work session, we weren't real sure how we were supposed to move forward. If you guys, had made a decision, or we still going to, we weren't sure how to proceed, so.
No, it might be.
I think part of the decision was that there was a complaint lodged that needs to be, if it's emailed, whatever, needs to be noted that there's been a complaint and who the complainant is. If the complainant does not wish to fine too.
Yeah, I think that was our question, we weren't real sure.
Code official,
Right.
they may call a commissioner or something, take a look at it, bring it to y'all's attention. And that's the way I understood it.
That's the way I understood it.
Well, currently, right now, we don't have a defined process or a documentation procedure on how to handle codes, complaints. And that's across the board, that's not necessarily just grass police, but building codes, life safety issues and whatnot. And we'll probably be looking at that into this summer, putting some procedures and processes together on that. We're not quite sure how to include that or present that to you. If we're gonna put that into, like, for instance, it doesn't belong in the personnel manual, but it's more guidance or an internal policy, not unlike maybe our financial policies or our
More like an administrative policy.
yeah, an administrative policy. We're just looking for more direction from you all on how you want us to track this and probably maintain this information.
The intent that I have is if a person gets, and I'm talking city codes only, I'm not talking building, I'm not talking state law, I'm talking about city codes. So if someone calls in complaints about grass or whatever is in the city code, I feel like they ought to leave their name. If the police officer writes me a ticket, he has to go up to court to prosecute. There's no difference. If I want to complain on somebody, why would it not be required for me to leave my name? Number one, I'm not going to complain on anybody. If I have a problem with a neighbor, I go talk to my neighbor. But there's people that don't look at it that way. They just complain. And if they will complain, sign your name to it.
But it needs to be documented, I think, because what if, there's several people that are complaining and there's an issue on something, I mean, it needs to be addressed and documented somehow.
At this time, we're following up on them as soon as we receive the complaints. Oftentimes, there's not a way to get back with the complainant, especially if it's anonymous. But as far as the similarity to an officer writing a ticket, the complainant wouldn't come to city court and testify on the complaint necessarily. Generally, that would be staff handling that. So the complaints come in and the city staff follows up on it. But we can maintain a database, or create a database and maintain it that has the complaints in there. And frankly, that could even be submitted to this board in the monthly reports for the code enforcement officer. And you can see the activity of not only what the public is saying, but how we respond internally and how we deal with it. And if you like, we can document who's made the complaint.
All
Well,
I'm
it needs to
saying
have all of that. I'm sorry.
if Mr. Brown gets complained on for whatever, because he's got a vehicle sitting there with no tags, in my opinion, he has a right to know who's complaining on it.
Well, I think all of it needs to be documented because, I've sent, Holly, when people call me, I'll send it to Holly, an email, but at least it's documented that it's, somebody's complained, who it was, what the issue is, so that we have a trail of when it was resolved, when it was looked into, and make sure that it's resolved if there is an issue, or if there's not a complaint on that, then you can go back to that person and say, hey, this was not a code violation, whatever that might be. And that way there's no misinformation for anybody. Everybody knows exactly what has happened in the code.
And that's a more formal process. Typically, it's my understanding that now when we do receive complaints, oftentimes we'll contact the violator directly, and it's more often than not, it's remedied with a phone call. instead of having to go through a more lengthy process to document it and whatnot. And that's, and Brandon,
How are you?
Brandon probably,
I'll say, I could probably do a little bit better on that. How are you guys doing? I mean, obviously, okay.
So when I did it, the way I'm trying to teach Josh to do it, so the complaint comes in, sometimes the front office receives it and they'll do a work order, just like they do for public work. That's traffic. If somebody calls in and complains, let's just say vehicle on the road. He'll go out, see if there's any validity to the complaint. If there is, he usually will tag a vehicle, if it's in the public streets, he'll tag it, return 48 hours. If it's still there in the 48 hours, he'll create an hour ticket for it. And the same software we use for permitting, he's got his codes working on it. And he's set the woods on fire this month. But he'll go in and create it, he'll find the owner information, he'll have PD come out and run the tag, figure out who the vehicle belongs to, and he'll have it towed. All that information goes into ours, along with the pictures, the complaint information, if he's got it, and then it's saved. So grass is the same way. We do door hangers for the grass. Because of the time it takes to send out a certified letter, you've already wasted 2 or 3 days. The grass is already tall, so we started doing door hangers. Because the time they get their letter, it's either been cut or it's waist high. So we started door hangers. Gives them 7 days. He puts that information into ours. It shows grass complaint.
That goes into the same module.
Goes into ours. So it shows grass complaint. Dave's created, he attaches pictures straight from his tablet in the field, take pictures, attaches it to the file, comes back, looks in the tax assessment information, pulls up the registered owner of the home. If he can't find it, sometimes he's called up front for utility information for the building because it's more up to date. Then he'll send out a certified letter. They have a follow-up date to go on the calendar. And that follow-up date strikes, he runs out, does his follow-ups. If it's compliant, it gets marked compliant. If it's not, then you go further. So there's ways to track it, but usually that information isn't put in until he's gone out and realized there is a valid complaint. Because there's people that want to get the city involved with neighborhood disputes. You get out there and there's nothing to it, or they're worse than the neighbors, and so it becomes just you're the middleman. So if there's a valid complaint, it gets created, and it gets logged, and it's tracked.
But does the valid complaint get documented as to who complained?
Most of the time. And then, but here's the deal, if he goes out for one grass complaint, let's say in Ridgegrass subdivision, he hits the whole neighborhood. So then all the rest of the complaints are gonna be codes department.
And that's fine.
Or if he goes out in his Coleman's neighborhood for a vehicle on the street, he'll hit the whole neighborhood. And if he finds another one, then there might be one with the complaint information and the rest might be by the codes department. So it sounds like they got it covered.
Do you have this in a procedure where he could actually look at it and go by that procedure?
There was no official policy procedure written on handling both complaints.
Yeah. Put together the procedure, that way if he looks at it, then he don't have to come and ask you, he can look at the procedure and see where it's at.
It's kind of one of the things, it was done on the fly, and there hasn't been any direction one way or the other. It's kind of find something that works for you and make it work.
What I'm saying is if somebody complains on my neighbor because his grass is 2 foot tall, and he does whatever, and he calls over here and asks for the codes department and says, well, who complained on me? Is that public information?
If they give it, I can tell you right now, if I'm gonna call my neighbor, I'm gonna request meeting anonymous. Because I might have already tried to approach, and this is coming from a resident standpoint, I might have tried to approach the neighbor the way it should be, the way some people want to do it, and it gets nowhere. So yeah, I'm gonna call the city and I'm gonna get the city to enforce it. I might not be able to do anything as a resident, but I feel like the city is that extra help that you might need. So I mean, I can see it both ways, but if they're gonna give you a name, or if they give you a bogus name, I mean, what are we to John Smith? John Smith's like finding on 42 calls this year.
They give you an address, they can't give you a bogus name.
Well, I mean, I can see it either way. It's gonna be hard to, because then you make it seem like we're gonna have to go in and validate the complainant's address and.
No, I don't think you're gonna get that many complaints. I think it's gonna cut the number of complaints way down.
But I mean, it could go either way. But some people just say, hey, from experience, I'd rather remain anonymous. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna force it on you. They'll call on a restricted line. they've been transferred from phone to phone, so it shows the internal number. So, I mean, if they wanna be anonymous, I don't really know what else they could do to get their information.
So if the police pull me over and write me a ticket, I can remain anonymous, I don't have to give them my license.
No,
Same thing, breaking the law.
well, the law and the city ordinance, I guess, it can be articulated either way. But the law that was being broken was broken in front of an officer of the law.
Okay.
You got somebody calling in, I mean, it would be the same as calling in third party and say, hey, I'm pretty sure there's a drunk driver in front of me. And the caller remains anonymous all the time. I mean, I stay on the radios and listen. They'll remain anonymous on the police call.
If I call about a speeder and have an officer come over, I can have that officer write that person a ticket,
If you want to
but I have to prosecute them.
unless he catches you speeding. But if you call and complain on a codes issue and they come out and witness the actual violation, then there's no reason to get you involved, because the codes enforcement officer has actually witnessed, a duty to act, because he has witnessed the violation.
Now, if you're an individual and you see a code violation, you can actually come up here, my understanding, and take out your own civil warrant.
Illegal dumping and barking dogs, and you can probably check the PD, that would be the most.
And then you would have to sign that as the individual.
If I saw someone illegally dumping in my neighborhood, and I got their tag, and then they left, and PD shows up, and there's nothing that ties them to the thing, or to the actual, dumping, and I got the tag, and I witnessed it, they're like, well, we didn't witness it, we can't tie anything to it, you can prosecute.
Follow people around, just try and catch them doing something wrong, and turn them into the city. In my opinion, they ought to put their name to it. If you don't, you're just a coward.
Well, so how about if we just go ahead and do the best to put their name on the
And we usually,
module, put together an administrative procedure, ask them for their name, if they don't give their name, or if they give a bogus name, John Smith, put it down, either John Smith or anonymous, and then still go out and look at the potential violations. I mean, that's a duty that you have.
and when I first started, we were paper tickets and Excel spreadsheet. So, previous was Karen Smith, she had these full sheet complaint cards. And that stuff, it all got filled out, and then you put it in your notebook, and then you go out and do your follow-ups. And then if you found a complaint, you come back and you put it in the Excel spreadsheet. So when we went to iWorks, the permitting and code software, that sheet went out the window. We were wasting full sheets of paper on complaints, and when you get out there, there's nobody. They didn't cut the grass because the weekend was too wet, and they had to wait till Monday, or something. So we were wasting paper, so we just got rid of that and went to just iWorks. So, but again, if they don't give you the information, you can't fry it from them.
Got what you need.
Put together a procedure.
There still needs to be a procedure somehow, some way, even if the person is, putting John Smith, something needs to be on there. It needs to be. And just so, I mean, because we have had issues where we've had, in the past, some residents that violated code, and just, we would go out and tell them to fix it, they would violate, and it would be good to have some kind of trail on that.
Well, that there is, the violate. Yes, there is, there's an audit.
Well, I know, but I mean,
Yeah, but is there a trail of who's complaining?
if,
No,
No,
I mean,
not contacts, no.
See, all it takes is one bad neighbor. And you can get complained on because you got a bad neighbor. You get complained on every other week, the city gets on you, and then the codes department will write by 4 things just like this. Getting to that, they won't say nothing to the 4 they write by. They'll just go handle that.
and that's the downside to only having, one person doing, it's hard to cover the entire city for
If
everything.
if that bad neighbor had to sign his name on there, he might not be so ready to complain all the time.
Well, you'll be able to cross-reference documents where they're originated from, right?
As long as you're getting valid information.
And you said Josh is going out there and the neighbors in the tall grass is checking the entire neighborhood.
You put 21 door hangers out.
well, but I have to say that, because if you've got, like in my neighborhood, there's quite a few of us around, And if I just have one neighbor that's always complaining on me, but nobody else has a problem, and everybody's happy, then it is important to know who that one person is, and that you realize that it's just a neighbor dispute as
Right.
opposed to this person's really violating all the time.
Or if it's about, valid complaint that's not being evaded, then that's an internal issue that needs to be addressed.
Correct,
That they're not
correct. So,
enforcing the code.
That homeowner needs to know, is everybody complaining against him, or is it just one person, so they need to know who that is. I do agree. Yeah, I can see that.
Good.
And we have caller ID as well, we are able to track that, or,
Unless it's been bounced around
yeah,
internally.
unfortunately, but we'll
Well, if you
We'll
see
work on
somebody
it.
doing it on a regular pattern, then you know that there's that one road person out there doing that. Or maybe a few, but anyways, but you still know that they're playing the system, they have to be.
we'll come up with a program. to
Do you
track
see
it.
what I'm saying, if they're doing the same thing all the time?
I mean, it's already there. Anything that's entered into HighWorks is searchable information. You create your report. So if you want to run a report for number of complaints, complainant name, and address of violation, you select those and you run the report.
It's only there if they put their name.
But it's only put in.
And I have to say though, even my neighbor, the one that put in the carport, because the rules had changed. I mean, he was allowed to put in this carport back here. And he got, he was okay, he was in compliance and all that, and so then he goes and does this other carport. And then, he's coming over to my house saying, who complained on me, I wanna know, I wanna talk to them, I wanna find out what the problem is, what did I do wrong? How can I talk to that person and try to get this resolved instead of turning me in? I didn't realize I caused it, and there were an elderly couple, and even the lady, she was crying and not even sleeping all night long, she was so upset. And I said, I'm so sorry, Ms. Johnson, I don't know what happened.
And that one was found by the building official.
Right, but still though, it was extremely upsetting to her, and they were told that somebody turned them in, that's what she told me.
I was under the impression that the building official found it.
Okay.
And they drove out one day and there's a giant carport sitting in the driveway.
Who's our building?
When it was Tommy at the time.
And I believe it generated a letter.
And it did generate a letter.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been there for 6 months after it was found with no action?
I don't know when the letter was sent out. That was-
Thomas ain't been here since the first year.
The letter was dated in July, but it wasn't, we didn't find a signed copy, and they claimed they didn't get a copy of the letter, so.
Anyways, I'm just saying that in that case, they would like to know who had complained, if they could have resolved it or find out what was.
But in that case, regardless, it was a valid complaint of something that wasn't allowed, so, I mean, I could see if it was just a dead end complaint, just to kind of stir it up, but if there's a valid complaint, then, I don't know, I'm torn with it personally, but we want to remain anonymous.
Yeah, let me just say this, I have no problem with identifying the accuser. But by the same token, I don't think not identifying the accuser is the reason for the code department not to do their job either. I mean, if they're out there looking to find a violation, or if somebody tells them wants to remain anonymous, they have a duty to the citizens of the city and this city to go out there and enforce that code, period. Now, it may upset people, it may upset your neighbors, maybe they were misinformed that a fellow neighbor, ratted them out or whatever. But the point is, there's obviously a violation there, so it needs to be resolved. So I'm, kind of torn also, but by the same token, I do agree that with the mayor that somebody should have enough guts to admit that they're bringing the complaint against somebody. But by the same token, if they don't want to do that, we still need to take the complaint. And I think if we put some kind of, do the best we can with some kind of procedure to identify them, that's all we can do. And I don't want to put them in a position where they become the middleman and the arbitrator between two different warring neighbors.
And we've been put in that position.
They've already.
It's,
And then they're going to be forever and ever, but let's not make it any more so.
you can't win all of them. But then when you are able to make someone correct something and it makes the neighbor happy and you know, it's a small win, but most of the time you're the middleman, goes back down.
You're gonna back out.
Either way.
So if you got to put some kind of procedure that actually, I guess, mimics what occurs in the real world.
Yeah, and for tracking wise, expand our, the iWorks so that there, because it's my understanding right now, a file, a code enforcement violation file is only opened when it's actually issued. But now we'll take a look at the system to see if we can do it. An intake, open a file as soon as the complaint is taken in, and then document how we handle that, and so how we can trace it and track it for
And if at the next work session, if you're probably not gonna get anything done between now and the next work session.
Thank you for understanding.
But if you do come up with some ideas, feel free to bring it to us and tell us what your thoughts on, because
And file a complaint or compliment online. And you can enter bogus information. We tried it when we were demoing it. You can go on there and enter bogus information or enter your real information. It just needs an email address. So you can go on.
get the bogus email.
We've gotten, I can't tell you the kinds of things that we've gotten on there from people just getting on it. So it doesn't do any good in my opinion.
Let me ask you this, the percentage of complaints that you have received for code violations versus those that, what is the percentage of those complaints that were actual violations?
I'd say close to 90%.
You found a code violation.
I agree with that.
I mean, it gets down to the parking. They talk about the parking in certain neighborhoods. And it's getting worse in some. To be 100% by the book, there's a checklist of things you have to do to park on the street. And it's just, depends on how hard you want to look and how much overtime you want to pay. To go out and enforce it.
It's a balancing act. I think we realize it up here, so let's just balance it and put a procedure in the best way we can.
All right, item number 14, citizens' comments. Anybody?
So we have a discussion about the library. Would you like to speak?
Thank you. Ginger Graves, manager of the Millersville Library, 1174 Louisville Highway. Just wanted to bring a brief good news report to you about the Millersville Public Library's events. I presented you all with a picture page showing some snapshots of the recent programs we offered in March and April. We had a big turnout for our Easter egg hunt. We luckily had our schedule for that one beautiful Saturday we had in person. So there's several, we had about over 150 people attend that event. So you see some pictures there. We've got lots of young kids, teenagers, and families coming into our library regularly. On the back page, I've got some pictures of some more teens and some children that are participating in our Lego Robotics Club that we were able to start with a grant we received from the state. It was a science, technology, engineering, and math grant. So we purchased some Lego robotic software, and the kids are learning some coding and programming with that while playing with Legos too. So that's a lot of fun, and that's taking place on Monday nights throughout the rest of this year.
How many participants do you have?
We have 12 participants in that. That was a registration basis because I was only able to purchase. We're starting off with that, but I hope to continue that in the future and grow that program as well. And then on the second page here, if you're a numbers kind of person, that's the report I produce each month for our statistics, which shows the circulation of our materials and also the count of our materials in our collection. When you see things that we added, that's of course books and materials that we purchased and cataloged that month. On the front is March and on the back is April. And then if we deleted items, that's usually when we do our inventory and we go through and weed out items that are really old or in bad condition and are not circulating. So we do that in order to replace those with newer, better materials. Because you all are aware, when we first started our library, we did receive a lot of donated books, and we did catalog a lot of those books, hoping they would circulate, but of course, some of them were older, and even some had been discarded from other libraries, but they were popular authors, so as we cataloged them, we hoped they circulated, but they didn't, so of course, we're deleting those now as we continue to grow. You also see in some of these numbers, towards the bottom in the purple on the left is the programs that we offered each month. It shows you the number of programs and of course how many people attended. So for instance, in March, we offered 28 programs and we had a total of 499 people who attended those programs throughout the month. And then of course over to the right under library services, you can see the count of our library visits. All of the people that visited in March was 2,446 people, and we had over 400 people using our computers that month. So we do track all of the activities and attendance each month. So if you ever have any questions about how our library is continuing to grow and serve the citizens of Millersville, please let me know. We're just really happy to still be here and serving everyone. And I also gave you a program, which is showing our summer reading program that's coming up. We're really excited to offer that to the kids again this summer. This tells you a little bit about everything we're doing all in the month of June and July. We're going to keep the kids busy, keep them coming to the library so they'll read and enjoy socializing together. And we also, again, are offering free lunch to children this year. That's for kids all the way up through age 18. So we'll be giving them a free meal each day that we're open, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, between 12 and 1 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock each afternoon, we'll also have a snack available for them. That program is funded through the USDA and through the state departments. A summer feeding sponsor actually prepares that food and delivers it to us, and we serve as the summer feeding site. So that's how we get to do that, and we're really excited to be a part of that as well. And I guess that's about it. Oh, on the back of the program that I gave you as well, lists several local sponsors. We were able to get sponsors to help support our summer reading by donating prizes. When the kids come and read this summer, they can get prizes each week they can get a small prize, and then when they halfway finish the program, they can get a baggie full of gift cards that are for free food, free haircuts, free bowling games at bowling alleys, the one in Hendersonville. Also, if they registered as summer read with us, they get a week-long free family pass to the YMCA in Springfield. So we were really fortunate to get a lot of things donated this year for our summer reading prizes, and we hope that you all tell everyone and tell your families and friends to come and visit us this summer. So, does anybody have any questions?
Doing a good job.
Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. We're happy to be here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? City manager's turn here.
Just a reminder, May 24th at 8:30 a budget work session.
8:30 a.m.
8:30. But just a note that we have city court in here that day at 1 o'clock. So people do come early and then you have nowhere else to go if they come out of town. So I'm thinking what we might do is break for lunch around 11:30 or 11 and maybe have lunch, and then if we have more business to do, we'll go to the community center and finish up there.
Commissioner Tony?
Nothing, yeah.
I'm sorry.
All day long.
Eight thirty AM or PM?
I'll just put all day.
So go breakfast.
I'd just like to thank the city and Deborah Ashman for the fruit basket I received. And I really appreciate everybody's thoughts, calls, And I'd really like to appreciate the assistant fire chief for coming by the house and checking on me. That's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn, we're glad you're back.
All those in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Yeah, pretty good.